Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the Redeem Team podcast. Welcome, everybody. We are podcasting to you from Southern California. We have the Redeem Team here live from the studio, and we'd like to welcome you to a fun time. We are going to be talking about the origin of Sentience Entertainment and go into our individual stories of how we got started into the company and what the Redeem Team means to us and what value we're bringing to you. So definitely tune in to the rest of our episodes. This is episode 1. This is day 1. Very much you're day 1 and you're experiencing the beginning of an awesome podcast that we're putting a lot of cool projects into in terms of what we're working on. We're going to talk about some projects we're working on, but without further ado, let's get into the podcast. I'd like to introduce everyone here on the Redeem Team podcast. This is the Dream Team here, and we go by the Redeem Team. We have Barton Richmond, the Sentience Entertainment CEO, founder of Sentience Entertainment and showrunner of the Singles TV series. And we also have Dino Alfino, who is our co-host here talking about sports and also the entertainment industry. We're going to have a fun sports hour in this podcast, so if you're into sports, tune in for that. Joshua Stein, our producer, he's head of production, helping us make the greenlit productions on screen and into all the departments we run and manage together. Overall, we're the Redeem Team. We're employees of Sentience Entertainment. We are Dream Team, and I'll go ahead and put down some graphics up. And, this is day 1 for everybody. This is our first podcast, so we're working out the kinks and whatnot, but it's going to get better and better. So we're excited to grow this and evolve. So without further ado, Barton L. Richmond.
Yeah, no, thanks so much, guys. And, I'm CEO and founder of this company and just really excited to be here and to share this with the team and to begin this, really cool journey. We're called the Redeem Team because we're all about a rebuild. We want to redeem ourselves to be better each and every day. I know redeem is kind of seen in sort of a negative way, but we want to really bring positivity and just trying to get better each and every day. That's what this podcast is about. That's what we're trying to do here. And we are kind of in this rebuilding phase as a company, as a team, as a group. Just we're all high achievers and we're all elite at what we do, and just excited to continue to bring that to the table and continue to bring that momentum. So it's great to be here and really, really, really excited. So
thank you, Barton. And Dino Elfino here, who's on the team since August of 2024. Dino, how has it been joining the team? Like, tell us what drives you, what ticks you. Like, how did you get your start in the company?
So I got my start in the company through an open mic event in Burbank, California. I met Charlie, one of the producers for the Singles TV show, and we connected after my performance. And it's just been a great fun, and it's a blessing to be able to be part of this production company. I do believe that things happen for a reason, and I'm very excited to be a part of this company moving forward. We've came a long way already, and it hasn't even been a year, so I could already imagine what the next years have like to come for us. So it's definitely a blessing to be able to be part of something that you never thought you would be part of. Making music and being in production and making films to be able to entertain people is something that I never had in my mind. I always dreamt about it as a kid, and now it's kind of like a dream come true for me. So very excited to, just keep growing and creating events and just very excited to be here.
Thank you, Dino Elfino. And Joshua Steiner, head of production. How did you get started into the company? What drives you?
Oh my God, I feel like I've been here for so long. When did I start? Like a year and a half ago? No, just under a year and a half ago. I think it was like December or November of 2023. I was I started as the writer's assistant in January. We were still working on episode 2. We eventually, by the time we finished that script, I just kind of fell into producing, and here we are, episode 2 in the can.
Two in the can. Together, we have
Amazing.
2 episodes in the can of the singles TV series. We didn't wait for projects to get greenlit by Hollywood. When the strikes were going on, we
Yep.
continued working independently on our production, and we struck through it. And now we have 2 episodes. We're going to premiere at an event on June 28th, which is exciting and really cool. We're going to be having industry professionals, our friends and family. We're going to bring the cast and crew together to celebrate our work and launch Sentience Entertainment as a brand, as a company.
It's
We
amazing.
have the singles TV series in the can, 2 episodes, but we're also working on Catacombs of Horror, which is an anthology half-hour horror series, which is
Yep.
awesome because each episode is its own story. So that's really exciting how we can, put different voices in each script and each episode. Maybe different directors or Barton Richmond. You've been working on Catacombs of Horror in terms of
Hmm.
writing the script, writing the stories on Substack, and you had
Yeah.
a script
Yeah.
one recently. So that's really cool. So people could actually tune in right now and read your story on Catacombs of Horror before the show's even out.
Yeah, I mean, where that idea stemmed from was just a passion project of how much I love Twilight Zone, how much I love Black Mirror, and just American Horror Story. And I grew up kind of loving the Universal monsters, so that was a big part of it as well. And this was just an idea where I was just like, hey, it'd be really cool to just do our own thing with that. And the name is great, and I love the idea, and just excited to continue to work on it. We have a lot of really cool, interesting ideas with that, and kind of bringing in a new age of horror. So I'm really, really, really excited about that project. And it's also about bringing in new writers as well, and bringing in their experience, and whether that's through LinkedIn or just looking at other writers as well. We want to showcase other writers' talents with the show and bring their horror ideas to the table as well. So, but we feel like we have something great, and we feel like we have something new and different, and they're going through some pretty traumatic situations, but hopefully at the end of the day there's a positive resolution for our characters.
Yeah, that's a big part of Sentience Entertainment, is putting some positive outlook into the
Yep.
world, like in terms of the stuff that's out there. Like we want to bring value to the content that we create and to the stories that we share. And that's awesome that we have, you know, integrity. And I love working for the company because you bring in everyone's voice, you listen to everyone's ideas,
Thank you.
and we like to incorporate those ideas. And we've been working on the single series for, well, before it was called The Love at First Sight. So I wonder if that's kind of a fun topic to talk about. Like,
Yeah.
dream team, right, is like never giving up and persevering, getting back up when
Yep.
you're also what trials and tribulations when you started, like how did
Wow.
singles start?
It's yeah, I mean, it's how much time do you have on your hands? It was a really challenging experience at first. I feel like meeting James was such an interesting experience. I was doing a podcast at another company called Traffic Media, and we had this guy, this football player, come in, and then James kind of told me he had this idea for a dating show, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I was single at the time. I was like, let's try something. At first, we wanted to make it a movie, then it became a TV series, and after that, we just kind of said, hey, let's work on this. Let's build this thing out. And at the time, I was still kind of working with Traffic, and then I kind of left them because I felt like they weren't really doing what I wanted to do necessarily at the end of the day, and I wanted to create stories and create shows and be a part of that, and RGU was doing that. And it was tough. I mean, we went through a lot to get there. I mean, we filmed through a pandemic, which is extremely difficult. Um, we had to go through a whole recasting process, you know, after our before we even shot the pilot. Through the COVID situation. We couldn't get the ideal location we wanted. Char, you were there. Tried to get that rooftop space, and
Yeah, that's
we
great.
ended
That's
up not having that. So we persevered through a lot. It's been 6 years in the making. It's been an incredible, incredible journey, and I'm grateful for all the hardship that we went through on it because it just led us to where we're at now. And I feel like the show is in such a good place, and we have such a wonderful cast and a great team and a great group of people, and it's just really exciting, man. I'm so happy and so grateful, really. So,
That's great. I
um,
didn't know. I didn't know any of that story. Really, I've been here a year and a
yeah,
half, and
yeah.
I never heard of your podcast on what was it, Traffic? Media?
Yeah, so I had a podcast on traffic media, and we had a couple of interviews. We interviewed one of the guys that was on the SEAL Team show. So
Mm.
he was on there. We had a couple of interesting people. L.A. Buck was another guy who's a good friend of mine. Close with Ray J and Snoop Dogg in that community, and he was great to have. And it just didn't really lead anywhere, and I felt like it was time to kind of move on from it because I felt like there was such a better opportunity with RG and what they were doing. So
And I guess could you talk about more of what the idea that James came to you with, and like how you said you guys were developing it for a while, but first it was a movie, and then it was a TV show.
yeah.
What led to that decision, and like was it like an original pitch for the movie? I'm just curious to hear that.
So I guess kind of backtracking it a little bit, I was trying to work on getting a TV show off the ground at a time where I was actually working with Christian Madsen, Michael Madsen's son, and we had a great DP. His dad did a bunch of like really high level stuff. He worked on like Pirates of the Caribbean and The Ring, and we were trying to get that off the ground, and then that kind of fell through. And then I kind of went to work with Traffic, but was always hungry to do either a movie or a TV show to like direct it. And because I really wanted to get back into directing and doing that, and I did that in college, and I really wanted to get back to that directing place. But I realized I loved being a producer and having that bird's eye view because I felt like I wanted to learn all aspects of production and how it works, and I ended up really falling in love with it and doing that. But to answer your question, sorry, I kind of went on a tangent there.
No,
But
it's all right.
the
Tangents are good.
movie was we were going to do an hour and a half. We were planning on writing a feature, so and we were like, well, this doesn't really work as a feature. It works so much better as a TV series. So
That's cool.
Yeah,
What was
that
the? Oh, sorry.
pandemic, right? Like I remember 2021, I started as an intern with Ground Group Entertainment, and then during that time, they had asked me to PA or just be on set to like get some experience with the first Love at First Sight crew and cast at the time. I believe it was the first. And I remember the next day we were planning to film, and that night it was like cancel, like pandemic, like COVID, like we all didn't
yeah.
end up filming that day, and we kind of restructured from there. Is that when uh, you guys had recasted, or was that with? Yeah, it was then.
So what kind of happened was, we felt like we just weren't prepared. We weren't, we didn't have the right crew. We didn't really know exactly what we were doing to run this. And this was my first time producing, something, and the actors picked up on that, and they felt like, hey, Matt, who was supposed to originally play Tim, was moving to New York, and and then that kind of led to Gigi kind of leaving, and then the rest of the cast, and Ron was kind of the only one that kind of stuck around, and it was unfortunate, but it was the reality of our situation, and we said, okay, let's move on, let's dust ourselves off, and let's keep going, and
Yeah,
that's what we did.
whenever there's been a recast or an issue in production, you guys have persevered, and I kind of got involved with that. We, had recasted. I had helped with the auditions and the organizing the meetings for that pilot shoot that we actually went out and shot. And one of the days on set, we showed up to set and we were planning to film this luxurious rooftop, and
Yep.
it's like gonna
Yep.
be like really nice bar area we're gonna set up. And then I see this taco guy pull up, and he's pulling out these like salsas and meats and cheeses, and I'm like, wait, what are you? Is there like a party going on? And sure enough, there was like a different artist there having a music video.
Yep. Yeah.
Funny enough, like Odd
Uh,
Future, a member from Odd Future was like partying on the side room there. So it was just like a experience that I learned from, right? Like permits are so crucial, and having authority where you're filming is so
Yep.
important. And that's what we did for when we shot episode 2, and we had gotten permits with LA Film LA, and even though it's so expensive to film in LA, which it could be a whole conversation, we could talk about advocating for lower prices. How we made it happen regardless of, you know we couldn't shoot that day because we didn't have the location, but we pivoted. We went to a location that we had, which was James's airport at the time, that he had a relationship with. Tomorrow, a great after school program out there, Tomorrow's Aeronautical
Yep.
Museum.
Yeah.
And they let us film there, and we got the pilot in the can from there. And we pivoted. We've always kind of never gave up. We've always kind of figured out a way to make the next move. When
Yep.
that's the kind of the fun part of this business, is like that creative problem solving, the roller coaster adrenaline of figuring it out as you go, and
Yeah. I
learning the
mean, that's
first
the part of sorry, that's a part of the process. It's how you learn, you know? And that's what we did, and it goes back to the Redeem Team aspect, you know? I felt a sense of redemption in some way after we lost that whole cast. It was kind of like, all right, time to prove you guys wrong. We're still going to do this. We're still going to make it work. You know, it lit a fire, to be honest, because I was just like, all right, we're going to make this work. You know, this is a really great idea. We love the concept, and we want people to see that. You know, and it brings such a positive message, and bringing the pandemic aspect into it was huge because I feel like it being a regular dating show, I feel like that's been done. You know, like people have done that so many times, and it's been done in media several times, and the pandemic was such a new angle that not a lot of people were doing. And also highlighting the Mexican American community as well, and those aspects of it, and being a love letter to LA. You know, you see some of these other shows that are kind of love letters. I mean, Insecure is kind of like the closest one, but a lot of them were filmed in New York. They weren't really filmed in LA, or they were filmed on a studio in LA, but they weren't necessarily filmed in Los Angeles. So we felt like we had something there that we really wanted to make a positive impact and understand like you're not alone in understanding what's happening with this pandemic, because we were all struggling. I mean, we were all trying to find our way again, trying to find our footing, trying to communicate with people again, trying to put ourselves back out there into the world, showing up to events. I mean, I know it took me some time to just get over the fear of being in like great crowds. I struggled with that. You know, I had that issue, and because I was told like you can't interact with anybody, you can't be around anybody. So I had to kind of work through that and figure out a way of like, I need to get back to, where I was before the pandemic. And that's where it kind of hit me with this idea, especially with Julian, is this guy's trying to really figure out his life. You know, he's listening to all these people talk to him and all these opinions and egos and friends and, newsletters and what's going on in the world and chaos, that he needs to look at himself and try to figure out, who am I going to be in this world? What's my purpose? So that was a big reason for the show, and that's why we felt like, all right, this is so important, and this needs to be shared because nobody else is doing it, you know.
And
Especially with the oh,
go ahead, Josh.
No, sorry,
no,
Josh.
I'm sorry. It's hard to read body language over Zoom sometimes. Uh, but no, I was just gonna say, yeah, especially I mean, the COVID aspect of it is really like what gets me interested in it, and like gets me still passionate about it because I still think that's I mean, obviously we've recovered
Right.
quite a ways, but in some ways we're still very much just like there's always like a little bit of hesitation to go out. There's a little hesitation to fly somewhere,
Yeah.
especially if I know I have a lot of friends with social anxieties, and so it's like just an added layer of that for a long, long time, and I'm sure it'll continue always to a certain extent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the pandemic actually took a big toll on the whole world, and
Yes.
part of being in the film industry now, right? The goals and just the thought of you knowing that you have a group of like guys, colleagues, co-workers that are willing to be part of that same dream is very exciting. Like, what is our goals for the TV show, right?
Right.
Distribution, potentially self-distribute by crowdfunding, right?
Right.
And I was looking up some successful like TV movies yesterday at the studio with Charlie, and we came across Angel Studios, right?
Right.
Um, they did Sound of Freedom, and they had like they were crowdfunded, and it was a really good like inspirational like company to look forward to on
Yeah.
what they're doing. And I told Charlie, hey, what we should go and check out what they're doing and go and meet them personally, and
Yeah.
Yeah, Angel Studios. That's Robert Rodriguez's. If, correct me if I'm wrong, Barton.
Mm.
Did you invest in
So
their?
that's Brass Knuckle. They're similar to kind of Angel Studios, and there's also Legion, which is another organization where it's fan base, it's community first, you know, and a lot of people have been talking about that being sort of the new way of production. You know, Eli Roth is also doing something as well with that, because I think people are kind of fed up with what's kind of going on with the studios. I mean, I know I am, you know, to be honest, but you know, just the fact that I feel like there's not that level of original creativity anymore. There's not those original ideas. It's rehashing old themes and old concepts that were great in the 80s, right? But, you know, what did those people do in the 80s? They created something new, they created something different. So I want Sentiency to kind of get back there and be sort of a power of change in the way movies are made and getting back to those original ideas. And that will lead to people wanting to come back into the theaters as well. Like, I strongly believe that. I mean, you look at a film like Sinners, you know, look at Barbenheimer as well last year. You know, the theaters are not going away. I don't believe that anytime soon. I think people are just looking for good content to watch on a big screen, you know? So that's just my thoughts on that. But
Can
Definitely
you
was.
talk a little bit more about your experience with Brass Knuckles? Like, what kind of hooked you in, or what you got out of it?
so I've always been a big fan of Robert Rodriguez. I've always loved Sin City. I read his book talking about the making of El Mariachi, The Rebel Without a Crew. And that book really inspired me a lot. And, you know, it was one of the first film books I ever read. And it was such a big part of my life. And, you know, like I said, you know, grew up watching Spy Kids as well. So having that type of talent and just hearing him like recently on a couple of podcasts just talk about his experience and what he was doing and how he was handling Brass Knuckle, it really got me interested, you know? So
In a way, that's sort of what we're doing, and like crowdfunding our projects and self-distributing, self-funding, and potentially like what Robert Rodriguez did with Brass Knuckles is kind of inspiration. And you mentioned Insecure earlier. That's also kind of inspiration with Issa Rae's story, how she started on YouTube with her series and how that got picked up later. And you know, that's it's kind of inspiring how what we're doing is creating our own opportunity and building something that you know it's our own platform, it's our own IP, and it's not like a reiteration. We're not responding to creative limitations to a studio head. You know, we're kind of creating it our own, and that's very exciting and motivating. I think there is a trend right now where people are getting behind companies that are doing that, that
right.
are making things happen themselves, and they want to be involved, and we're including them in the process. You know, with that. And you know, we've been posting behind the scenes content online on the singles.tv. We have our Instagram pages, and you know, we've been building and building our following, and now we have an event on next month where we're going to have the community.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's really exciting. So I don't know if anyone wants to chime in here about what their experiences has been with you know, making connections, or building your own projects independently, because you know, well, I know Joshua's a screenwriter. Dino's working on his scripts, and Barton, you've been working on your other projects as well.
I mean, Sedona's kind of something in the works. That's another passion project that I'm really excited about. You know, that came from a short story in college about a guy that touches a spacecraft and develops these really interesting powers. And how do you deal with that? You know, how do you control that ability? And then how do you surround yourself with other people that have an ability much stronger than you do? And how do you cope with that? How do you handle that? So it's a great idea. I've always loved Sedona as a kid. I got two of my dogs from Sedona, two Wheaton Terriers, and Sedona is a beautiful place. I mean, it really is. It doesn't feel like you're in the U.S. It feels like you're kind of on Mars a little bit because it's like orange sand and yeah, it feels extraterrestrial, you know. But it definitely has a special place in my heart. A lot of my grandmother used to live in Phoenix. My dad went to Arizona State, so you know, Arizona has been a part of my life, but Sedona has always been a place that has really stuck out for me. And hopefully one day we can go out and film there. You know, that would be an incredible opportunity.
Yeah, how do you balance Sedona, the singles, Catacombs of Horror? How do you balance all your like, and Dino and Josh chime in, like how do you guys balance your work life and creating intellectual properties?
do you want me to go first, or
You can
Josh?
keep
Do you want
going.
to?
Uh, sure. I mean, it's tough. I mean, I'm very grateful for I mean, it's a lot of work, right? Like it's a lot
Yeah,
of work that
it
you don't
is.
really have to do, but you do it because you want to do it, and it's not good every day.
Right.
And there are a lot of days you don't want to do it, but you have to hold yourself to it. And I mean, I'm very grateful for like this job. It's like it's great to like be able to work on something as a team and like something that you're held to do. That's something that you're held by your team members to contribute your part to, which is very nice. And it's the same outside. I'm lucky enough it's the same outside of this for me. With personal projects, I live with my well, amongst the many people I live with, I have a writing and directing partner, and we hold each other accountable every day. If
Yeah.
one of us isn't working, I'll have these meetings in the morning. I'll do some work for this, and then I'll text him like, "Hey, I'm done for the day. Gonna go do some writing for a few hours," and it's just like, it's like that every day. So it's just, I mean, surrounding yourself with people like-minded people who want to do the same thing is really like the best way to do it. And
100%.
that's what we've done here, I think. So
Yeah.
we're off to a good start in that sense.
I think we're all super passionate about, film and being involved in the business and really loving and admiring directors of the past. I mean,
Mm.
Spielberg is somebody, Josh, I know that you look up to a lot as well. Charlie, I know you do too. And Dino, I feel like you feel the same way about that, where, yeah, like going to Universal Studios as a kid and like seeing Jaws and seeing the body of work that he's created, Indiana Jones, Jaws, my favorite's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But just an amazing body of work, and just is still able to continue to do it. And you have, Scorsese as well. You have Tarantino, and then you have like their former masters. I mean, I guess that's how I kind of learned and really loved movies, was from the old masters. I mean, guys like Kurosawa and David Lean and Howard Hawks and Francis Truffaut and Jean-Luc Godard, and like all those filmmakers, made me really love the process and be involved in it. So, um, what I was going to add to that as well is it's amazing to have like-minded people to work on projects, to people that really are passionate and love filmmaking. And for my situation, I kind of live with my girlfriend, and it's just sort of, I mean, she loves movies, and that's amazing, and we have like a really amazing collection of stuff. But she's not a writer. I mean, she's kind of more of a fan. So it's still my job to kind of get up and do that. And I think just having good, motivational, inspiring things around me are important. To have a great team that holds you accountable is super important. Um, I mean, for me, like before I got on this interview, I was watching The Last Dance, and I was like, I love Michael Jordan and his style of play and his relentless attitude, and that's what keeps me going. Sometimes you need that little motivation. You need to listen to some of those people, because then that kind of gets me through the day a bit more. And it allows me to focus on my writing and focus on that and do that. And then to answer your question about how I juggle three projects at once is when I feel like I'm kind of in this state of like writer's block. I sort of pivot to another idea, and I just go focus on that. My 90 minutes aren't up. I set a timer for 90 minutes to write, and I always do that. And whatever I'm writing, whether it's Sedona, whether it's Catacombs, whether it's the singles, or future projects. That's just how I do it. That's how Shonda Rhimes kind of does it as well. The person that does Grey's Anatomy and Scandal. She's very much into like there's no such thing as writer's block. Just kind of switch ideas. But it's not for everybody. But it's the routine that works for me. So
Thank you. Dina, do you have any experiences you'd like to share about balancing work life and creativity?
So the way I see it is, ever since COVID and the strikes, right? Um, Production hasn't been the same, right?
yeah,
And trying to entertain the new generation is difficult, but it's doable, right? Just finding creative ways and having a good team to be able to kind of share each other's like ideas is kind of where we're headed right now. You know,
Hmm.
this podcast I'm very excited to be a part of. I feel like the whole world should be able to view our perspective in California as far as making film and trying to go about your way to make extra money to make ends meet
Yeah,
and just make the production company come to light. And that's really what's happening right now. We're in the middle of having a premiere TV party for the casting crew on the 28th of June, which is like very exciting. Um,
amazing.
Everyone is like now locked in and on board, and there's a bunch of people from the production company helping out to make this event great. And the way I see it is, we're gonna make the Hollywood film industry great again because we have that determination and heart, and we don't really care about what's going on or what other people think, as long as we believe in ourselves and as a team, right? Because there's no I in team. We are
100%.
moving to a like bigger dream and a bigger project, which is creating more, helping each other out when we need it. But to answer your question, Charlie, uh, as a Californian born and raised, right, a true Angelino, I I've witnessed the struggles that my parents, my friends, other people have went through, and I kind of always trying to go through the healing process of everything that happens in the world, like problems and like just predicaments that you have to kind of pickle your way out of, and that's kind of how I was introduced to you, Charlie, and the company. Um, I've always been a committed person to trying to be like a LA hustler. That's what we call it, right? So we try to get it from everywhere, and if one thing doesn't work, we'll try to go and learn something else and just kind of just keep grinding to make ends meet. So what am I doing? I work at a production company with you guys. I drive Lyft to get more connections and meet a lot of people from the Hollywood industry that we get lucky to be able to, rub shoulders with, which is very important. I've had a lot of good feedback from the people that I meet when I'm, driving these people to wherever they're going, and we get to connect with them. They're right now the industry is exchanging emails. They're very open minded about other smaller companies and curious about what we are doing, which is really cool.
Right.
And now there's like the product that we are offering now. So I don't consider this team and this entertainment company a small company anymore, because we are filming episodes, we are creating TV shows, we are writing, we are helping other people in the film industry have worked through the casting and episodes that we are working on. The horror film that hopefully we start shooting next month, God willing, right? And
Yeah, I mean, definitely beginning the process. Yeah. I
yeah,
know we're going to work on a trailer soon. So,
and it's like everything I've ever dreamed about. I always like to be on a position where the spotlight is on me, and as a player, I have to listen to my coach, right? Just in a more metaphorically speaking, and like just practice on how I can be better, how I can fill in the holes where maybe you won't pass me the ball to take the last shot, but I could probably, help the team win by helping where we're weak at. And that's basically what this team's about. We're all
yeah.
finding our comfort zone and we are not taking no for an answer, and we're just living the you know everyday, go to work and do whatever you have to do to make things happen kind of mindset and lifestyle, which is exciting. Not a lot of people can take so much pressure, right? And I
Yeah.
feel like we've got out of the pressure stage, and now we are creating a lot of movement for everyone, the community, the company, the people that will be going to this premiere party, right? And it's just very exciting to know that we could start with a little and grow to something big, right? What did we do this year? We finished up filming episode 2. We got a headquarter and a studio in the North Hollywood Arts District to be able to bring in more artists and to be able to create more, film, and just more create everything that has to do with the film industry and the music industry. And we're not like holding back. We're definitely like making more moves than most people would, right? And why is it? It's because the team that we have believes in each other in some way or another. It's motivating and it has us going to the right direction, which is making Hollywood great again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, like Lyft driving. I remember once you had done a Lyft drive and you called me at like 11 o'clock at night and you're like, Char. I'm like, Dino, did you check out the music video I made? And you're like, no, I got someone important in the car. Like, I got a professional. I'm like, oh, like who is it? And then you connected me with that professional, and that professional loved what we were doing. When we mentioned we were filming the next week episode 2, I could hear the excitement and surprise in his voice, like, how are you funding it? Like, how are you doing it? Like, who's funding it? And I'm like, we're self doing it, we're making it ourselves, we're greenlighting our own production. And he's like, wow, you guys are hardcore. And putting yourself out there and bringing it up, pitching in the car, making an opportunity out of it. And we ended up going to lunch with him, and it being such a good conversation, he's willing to be on the podcast. So we'll maybe keep it a mystery for now, but it would be very cool to have some professionals who are meeting actively in the industry, in current time, we could come onto the show and we can pick their brain, maybe look into what we've been hearing is a lot of productions are not being greenlit. So like, what are they doing, and who are how are they making it work? And that's just really cool that like you are able to make those connections wherever and pitch, and it blossoms into a relationship. And I think there is a trend right now where people are sharing emails in the industry. People are connecting. I mean, there's a lot of people that are, like Robert Rodriguez with the Brass Knuckles, creating their own opportunities and
Yep.
getting the community involved. And it's pretty cool how we're making connections from Dino doing that. And everyone here has been putting in work, and it's gonna be fruitful. We have a celebration next month, and it's kind of like that Mamba mentality where you're just getting better every day, where you're you know making the steps towards your goals and progression. And it's kind of motivating, inspiring. And I want to call back to the having a team as a support system, like holding each other accountable, or giving each other encouragement. And it's just been very helpful, and especially for me. Like I get, we're doing all these projects, but having people to work with that you enjoy working with just makes a whole difference. And it's enjoyable, it's fun,
Yep.
and it's exciting, and it's kind of cool what we're creating. These intellectual properties are valuable, and there's copyrights that come with it that we can monetize and share with others. So it's like I'm learning more about entertainment law. I'm going to school right now, and it's really cool what we're doing. And we're taking the steps to copyright it with the copyright office. Like, we're doing the right things that you know a production company would. uh so I just wanted to just
Yeah.
reflect on that for a second, that we learned a lot from the beginning days 6 years ago when you started with Traffic Media and branching out, doing your own thing.
Hmm.
And maybe you could talk more about what we're trying to accomplish, and whether that's in the company or outside the company, and that could be individually with everyone or as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
Hmm.
for myself, it's it's really about making a positive impact on the world and on others, and creating the best stories we possibly can. I think that's super important. That we create our own path, pave our own way, but tell stories the right way, and bring a positive impact on others, and help other people's lives in whatever way we can.
Well, we are on that path. Do you know Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I would go the exact, not the exact opposite route, but just for fun, honestly. It's like I think I like being creatively fulfilled. I like, be able to eventually, voice a thought is really it, and just like and it's just like fun. It's painful and it's like it's grueling at times, and there's a lot to do, and it's a long journey to get anything done.
Yeah.
But it's fun, and I honestly don't know what else I would be doing. It's a little bit of a disease, I guess. Like this is it.
Yeah, yeah.
This is like this is what I signed up for, what I want to do. So here we are.
And that's really honestly like something that we all could relate to. You know, if we weren't passionate about it, we wouldn't be here and we wouldn't be talking
Hmm.
about all the great things that are happening. And you
Hmm.
know that energy that we bring in is definitely starting to come to light, and we're excited to be able to. I think you said it was going to be at a UCLA theater in the UCLA campus.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah, it's definitely exciting. I kind of gave Charlie a couple of ideas of where we can go and promote the show at the campus somehow before the actual event, to have those creators and the people that are going to school for that also come and join us, and you know get a little glimpse of the big marketing strategy that we are approaching this 2025. So
Char, why do you do it? I feel like no one's asked you a question yet, Char, and I'm sorry, but why do you do it? I know you're music first, I believe, right? But where's your passion for music and TV come from?
Yeah, I've always been film first, but I kind of like transitioned recently to like bridging the gap into music because, well, I'll start my first beginning like in entertainment, watching like movies and TV shows. I saw a producer in the credits. I'm like, "Wait, what is that?" And I'm being told they like made it, and I'm like, well, I want to make stuff like that. So I started looking at the camera, making videos on YouTube in like 2005, 2006, like very very beginning days of I was must have been 9 years old, and I like stumbled upon these editing programs, Sony Vegas, Final Express, and I would get practice with the editing programs because I play video games and I would record my video game characters like putting in dialogue of or the lyrics of a music, and then I would edit that screen recording into the editing program, and I put music under it, and then I had built like a community of like a few hundred subscribers back in like 2007, 2006. It was like really fulfilling, like getting to like talk to other people and like getting the responses from the community on like this music video that I made, which was completely not my music and like all the way, but it was a way for me to feel like some type of connection with the community. I even though it was like online people that I'd never met before, it was just like online chat rooms, right? Like Club Penguin, but it kind of stemmed into like meeting and befriending these like people online um, and growing like comments in my videos. Like I felt like I was seen and like my voice was heard and like my creativity was being recognized, and it's kind of cool to even for myself to make it. My uncle went to Iraq during the war over a decade ago, and I had made a video for him to like support him, and so it's kind of like a way for me to connect with people. Like I um, played soccer, but you can't really like my skills and talents weren't very beyond the soccer field. I wasn't connecting with people. I was like an only child, living in like a gated community. I would like ride my bike and hang out with the neighborhood kids, and we would play video games. And then I kind of grew out of like the screen recording music videos. But like I made like several music videos, and there was a community that was being built around them, and that like triggered my like interest into doing more of that. I watched Nickelodeon. There's a Drake and Josh scene of the Theater Thug episode where Josh is playing this theater thug, like FBI's Most Wanted. He's playing the character,
Mm.
and his brother Drake shows up on set, and the director overhears Drake say something. And is like, "Can you say that again? Like, let's put you in the show." And Josh is kind of like, "Nah, he's not an actor." And then the director's like, "Well, what's acting? You show up, say some stuff, go home." And acting is definitely not that easy, but like I was really inspired by that. I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
Like these actors are acting like actors. Of course, it's a show of a show, but it was like I wanted to do that. It seemed fun. Josh was having fun. Drake was having fun. So I
Huh.
looked up online like how to get into acting, and there was a bunch of scams I got into. But eventually, I locked in with Kids Management and got signed with them to do background roles, and I got to be on set, and that was a lot of fun. But music, like growing up with iPhones and I like having headphones on the bus all the time, like I was music was always around me when I was not doing something. I'd have music playing in the background during homework, whatever. I would use Genius to like read the lyrics because for whatever reason, sometimes I couldn't understand the lyrics or like fully comprehend what they're saying. So I'd have to read. So I'd follow along with the lyrics, and then it became to a point where like I'm like, well, I feel like I can write something better than not necessarily better than this, but I feel like I could create some poetry. And then of course I have poetry class in high school, and kind of inspired by that. And I'm every day on the bus to school, and on the way home I'd be listening to rappers or pop artists and like figuring out what the lyrics and watch music videos. I'd go home after school and I'd play a music video and I'd watch it and love it, and then I would like play the lyric video and I would like sing the lyrics and just like in my room for fun because I wanted to like just like spurt some energy. And then I started creating my own lyric videos, and it became to a point where I wanted to make music videos again. And so now I'm like, I don't have necessarily like all the connections and like knowledge of the music business. So I decided to go to school for music industry administration after film production. I got a bachelor's in film production so I could, learn the business and make, my productions myself. But then I pivoted last year to music industry administration for a master's degree so I can make connections in the music business and learn the intellectual property rights and how to monetize copyright. Like I said, I just finished entertainment law, and so that's kind of like in the back of my mind is like, how can we create an intellectual property and create revenue from it? And because that's like the dream is like for me, like making music videos and building my own catalog of publishing. There's so much like great music out there, and I want to contribute to that. And whether it's me making the music or it's someone else that I give a opportunity to or can help assist, like what's really been ticking me recently is how many artists out there that love making art aren't like even signed with a performing rights organization or have their credentials for songwriting or publishing. Like
Hmm.
a lot
Yeah.
of artists put their music on DistroKid, but they don't have their publishing set up, so they're losing like half of the like some of the revenue they could be if they had done the proper paperwork. So I'm really excited to like give value to the community. We at Sentience Entertainment and Elita Studios, we have our studio in North Hollywood, and we actually have had artists come in and record now. So it's become a living, breathing entity that I want to like put some gas on the fire and get these artists podcasts and interviews and their publishing and songwriter credentials. Like that's really exciting for me because I'm like playing a pivotal role in these early careers of these artists, and that connection is valuable. And it could eventually turn into music videos down the line, which I love making because it's just really fun to pair sound with video. You get that like that satisfaction. It's just like
Hmm.
it's such a cathartic feeling, and
Hmm.
I want to be doing more of that as well as making films and TV. I want to make music videos. It's tell a story with music. So at Senti, we didn't really have a music department. So I, proposed the idea of being music supervisor and applying what I'm learning in school into the company, and that's been fruitful. Now we have a music composer and a sync placement from an artist that composed a song for the show. It's been very fun to like incorporate what I'm learning into like my work and into the things I'm creating. So it's very fruitful, and I want to do more of that. I just finished a music video filming last week, and we're now in the editing process. So stay tuned for updates from that. But as far as film and music, I want to, every film needs music, and like I want to make our own films. And I'm like, well, I got to learn, what kind of contracts does it take to acquire music for our film. And I'm actually so inspired by this entertainment law class and the amount of contracts I already like make and go through that I think I may consider becoming an attorney. It's another 3 years of school, but it might be worthwhile so I could look at my own contracts and make, help others with legal advice legally, because you can't give legal advice unless you're an attorney. So I'm
Right.
excited to continue that passion and see where that curiosity goes. And Dino Alfino is a reggaeton artist, and he and I are planning to set up his publishing. So he's a self-administered publisher, songwriter, and that could definitely be fruitful for an artist like himself who's just starting out independently. So I'm like very excited to. Thank you for asking, Josh. Yeah, like I could talk about it for hours. Like
No,
definitely.
that's something I admire about you, Char, especially. I mean, I think all of us have it a little bit, and I think it's rubbed off on me a little bit. But you, Char, especially, is like are always curious, like always like consistently learning and like going in kind of fearless, like knowing that you don't know everything about it, but that doesn't really ever stop you. That's just like you're just ready to learn as you go, and that's like, and you're always positive about it is incredible to me
Thanks,
because
Josh.
you run into so many people who've like been in this industry for a very long time, and they're just like it's hard to talk to them sometimes. Like getting coffee with people, like they have their philosophy in their head, and
Right.
granted it's justified because they know it, they've been around for a while, but there's no like give and take. There's no like I don't know. Talking to you, Char, is just different because you're just like literally just like so much energy and so much positivity, and it's nice like when it comes back to you. So
Thanks, Josh.
I was going to ask you, Char, about your work ethic and like where that stemmed from and your
mhm.
consistency and your persistence, and because I've noticed you've had a lot of that. The fact that I wasn't able to be on set as much as I would have liked to, and still showing up and being present and leading the group when I wasn't there and Josh wasn't there, and just what is like where did that work ethic come from? I'm
Yeah,
just curious about that.
that work ethic stemmed like since I was born nearly. I mean, my dad was an entrepreneur. He moved from England with $100 to his name to California and made a business carpet cleaning. I remember being in the van and sometimes I'd just be there with him on the work days. And then he became an entrepreneur creating a toy store, and I'm like 5 maybe 7, like I'm like playing with the toys. And then my dad's seen these customers walk in, they see me playing with the toys, and then they're like, "Yeah, like he's having fun. You guys could buy it, right?" And then I go to the cash register and I cash them out, and it's like I'm like learning the business and like how to do work. And I'm like growing up with my dad. He's starting like Halloween stores, and
Yeah.
I'm like not getting paid. I'm like practically labor. I'm putting up zip ties and putting grid wall together and pricing things and cleaning, sweeping, brooming, and I'm just doing it because that's the family business. That's the like loyalty. And my dad really ingrained like hard work and like being part of the team, something bigger than yourself is like important. And
Yeah.
that really translated into my work life. Working hard. I did internships where they were unpaid and I worked hard. And I remember like one time putting epoxy remover on sets to like remove the paint to clean the location, and like my finger was deteriorating for weeks after. I didn't realize
Yeah.
should have been touching that stuff. Little did I know. But that work ethic stemmed from my dad, like just watching him work
Amazing.
and build businesses. And he created his own opportunities, and I really admire that. And he had me working at the store. Like I was there from, as soon as he left in the morning, I'd be there all day until late at night. So I'd be there from like 7 in the morning to 1 a.m. sometimes, counting the change. And that like was like a very good experience because I got to learn how to like work and do school and do all like sports and all that. And then at 15, I got a job at the Shaved ice cream bar. And at the same time, I was doing the background acting and going to school, so I was balancing a few jobs. So that work ethic was persisted through high school. And I leave class to get one set to do some background acting for Nickelodeon, and then I would the next day work at the Halloween store, cashiering or whatever it may be. But that, yeah, definitely my family, like my grandparents definitely inspired me. My grandpa created a business and bought property, and he and his son, my uncle, they run a shop together, and I go there and they encourage me to work with them. And they have the screen printing press there, which I use to make this shirt. And it's been very much a blessing that I have those opportunities that my family can provide. At the end of the day, it's up to me to put the work in and use those opportunities and like take advantage of them. So like, but I'm grateful that like they encourage that and they want me to like use their resources and take
Yeah.
advantage of what I have to offer. And my dad is doing a Halloween store again this year, and I'm probably going to be working as cashier. And but yeah, Barton, where have you gotten your worth? Like how have you been persistent? Because you have a lot of consistency. You've been doing this for 6 years of the singles alone, but like you
Right.
know
Yeah. I guess for me, I knew this is what I wanted to do with my life, and I knew that there were no handouts. Nobody was gonna give that to me. I had to work for it. I had to put myself into a position that I wanted to do this. And I didn't really have a good support system by any means, and I had to kind of learn it on my own and sort of figure it out on my own. And that's what I've been trying to do since today. And I think it's through books that I've read. I think my junior year of college, being very into like Ty Lopez. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but the way he spoke about just reading books really inspired me to go out and read and to absorb and to learn and to process information. And that really helped me out a lot for sure. And learning from people like John Wooden, who won 13 national championships with UCLA, amazing human being, amazing person. And then also just Stoic philosophy and wisdom, that really helped me out a lot too. With YouTube and watching content, I feel like that's helped me out a lot too. But I've just, I feel like it stemmed from my dad. I lost my dad when I was pretty young. So, I was kind of, I had to be the leader of the house. I had to like take on that role. And I did that to my best ability, but I love this. This is my passion. This is what I enjoy doing with my life, and I want to do it to my best ability and the best that I can, and do the best to really lead this group and to set the right tone and be the right role model for this company. I think that's really important to me. And I know I'm a work in progress, and I just want to continue to be better and to improve myself and to show up each and every day.
who are some of your inspirations?
So I would say, Kobe Bryant was pretty big for me. Michael Jordan was really big for me. Bobby Orr with the Bruins was really big for me. Steven Gerrard with Liverpool was really big for me. I have a lot of people. I'm also kind of into anime, so a couple of those anime characters were really inspiring to me. Um, just Navy SEALs and hearing what they've gone through and their training, they've inspired me a lot. And Stoic philosophy has been really important in my life too. So all those aspects have played a role in who I am. And I just want to continue to grow and continue to be better. That's really important to me. So
Sports is important to you as well.
I was gonna say that's a
yeah,
wonderful transition.
yeah. I mean, Dino, I know you've been a huge Lakers fan probably ever since you were like a kid, right? I mean, just loving that, loving the Dodgers, Chavez Ravine, all that was probably a huge aspect of your life.
It definitely took a big change, turning point in my life, because growing up in the Los Angeles areas, right, and going to school in Los Angeles, like school districts, was definitely challenging. Growing up in challenging areas can really take a big toll on your future. You could either
Yes.
become a dealer, you could become a gang member, or you can, beat the odds and try to like be different, right?
Hmm.
And growing up watching Kobe Bryant, I remember every day in West Los Angeles, California, I would always bring out the basketball court at a like very young age, like 9, 10 years old, and it was my neighbor's basketball court, but we would bring it out to the middle of the street, and everyone who's everyone would kind of like just come and group up and start playing, and like kind of it's kind of like what motivated me. I won a couple of championships for Echo Park, and played basketball at the YMCA in downtown for a few years. And I played in all the recreational soccer leagues here in the Los Angeles County area. Got a lot of championships, I want to say over 20, right? And played semi pro soccer in San Diego. And
Oh wow.
yeah, and I actually won the title over there with the league that I played for. And just getting into sports really kind of made me stay out of trouble, and finally decided to, go to college and go take a business administration class and kind of like start my own business. I was always a manager at whatever store that I actually like would work at, like at a shoe store. And did a little bit of security work when I was younger, and just realizing that in sales, if you're like really motivated and you're a people's person, you could definitely get like ahead, and make commission, right? And through the training of managing a lot of stores in San Diego, I worked at Chic Shoes in San Diego for like 5 years.
Oh
I
wow.
Yeah, I worked.
How'd you enjoy like your time, being in San Diego, and kind of like the difference between that and, LA, and just kind of the vibe? I mean, I've been living here for a couple of years now, and it's
Yeah,
it's it's different, man. People are a lot calmer. It's not as, I guess, superficial per se.
I'll be
Kind of
honest.
like kind of like the LA of old. I would say it kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
So living for 5 years over there, playing soccer and working as a shoe store manager, uh, I was lucky enough of really enjoying that city because it taught me something different. Um, I After I stopped working at the shoe store, I decided to move back into Van Nuys, California with my aunt. She's a LAUSD school teacher, and I kind of like told her, you know what, honestly, I want to go to school to, start my own business. I just need a little bit of help to be able to like do that. And she was nice enough of letting me live at her house, and I was able to go to school. And 12 years later, I've had an office open for 10 years now, immigration and income tax office in North Hollywood. And I quit drinking 11 years ago. And I would say that I really, really work hard on my weaknesses. And I always like try to prove myself that, no matter what mistakes I've made in the past, that doesn't define me. And I kind of
Hmm.
just have that Mamba mentality, Los
Yeah.
Angeles like hunger, that
Yeah.
I want to prove myself that the sky is not the limit. We could go farther than that. And I'm proud of like just being able to help the community, being able to help my friends. Sometimes, everyone needs a little help sometimes to get that little push or a different vision in life. And, just being able to hold the business for 10 years is not easy. And then getting into the entertainment company with you guys for like the past almost about to be a year, not even a year, right? Has been really
Yeah.
for fulfilling for me. I feel like I've always used my energy to try to help others and focus on others, right? And I'm taking a step back right now and making adjustments to have like a lot more time for the production company,
Hmm.
uh, and just going the extra mile to be able to get to where we want to get to, which is crowdfunding TV shows and being able to like have this journey with you guys to be able to like be great, and I feel great. I'm happy. I like where we're going and moving. We have a sense of direction, and that's really the story of the Los Angeles like lifestyle versus the San Diego. It's
Yeah.
like a little bit more difficult in living in Los Angeles versus living in I want to say military base city over there in San Diego.
Yeah.
Things a lot more different. People, are a little bit less overwhelmed. I want to say because of the traffic and the people,
Hmm.
and it's just a little bit more organized to live down there. You get a like peace of mind to be able to, kind of be able to think, um,
Yeah, absolutely.
and
Take a breath, like I notice when I drive back into LA, I'm always getting a little bit more anxious, a little bit more stressed. When I go back to San Diego, it's just very calming. The people there are so nice, and it's great.
yeah, yeah. Everyone loves their dogs over there. Also in San Diego,
Yeah.
I go to the Grape Street Park when I'm down there because I go and buy cars there a lot, and it's been like my home away from home. Like go to place. Horton Plaza, Fashion Valley, Chula Vista, Plaza Bonita, all of those places
Hmm.
are always, very cool to go to. But also, if you have kids, the San Diego Zoo,
Oh yeah.
Sea World, and
Hmm.
just like Legoland.
Legoland, right? Carlsbad, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just, the entertainment and quality of the customer service is what always wants to bring you back over there, you know?
Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and it seems like you have that your own redemption story you're going through, and it's a big reason for the Redeem team. We're all here to be better, to improve ourselves than we were yesterday, and I think that's what I love about this podcast, and I think that's what's going to inspire other people is they're going to see the growth that not only we're doing, but the fact that we're giving our tools and tips to help other people improve their lives as well. So
absolutely. And impacting the new generation is a big thing for me because
absolutely, yeah,
I'm a little
yeah.
kid, so I kind of, want people to be better examples for the new generation.
Right.
As any adult would like. My son's always on YouTube and he's always on
Yeah.
these social medias, and like he's always like learning something new, and it's definitely different than what it used to be back in the 90s. Back in the 90s, you would like ride your bikes to the local
Hmm.
pool area with your cousins and kind of just play basketball or baseball in the
Hmm.
backyard anywhere. And like now there's like electric scooters, so kids are running out on the scooter.
Right. Right. Nobody's playing out in the streets anymore. Nobody's like riding their bike in their neighborhood waiting for like their mom to call you in, hey, it's dinner time. None of that is going on. And I feel like we're losing something there, our attention spans, the way we communicate with others, how we are as people, how we interact with others. I think there's a huge shift now with that, and Another thing as well is like nobody's reading books, man. Nobody. Like you see it in like college, like professors are kind of giving up because like they don't know, like they're trying to assign them reading material and they just don't want to read, or like they don't have the attention span to read through a book, you know, and that's a scary thing.
Definitely. The
So
kids are using AI to finish their homework assignments.
writing resumes and all of that.
Yeah, and it's different, you know. Even sports these days, like they've taken it to another level where
Hmm.
you know kids are training and doing all these like uh, drills that like weren't existent back in the days. There wasn't a lot of like soccer fields um, and academies like there are now in the Los Angeles area, you know, and
Hmm.
soccer's really grew and has become like really big for the country, which is good
Yeah.
because we have a big country and we should have a good national team. And
Hmm.
we always seem to kind of flop when we go to the World Cup.
Yep.
But now, you know, like the training and the academy schools that are have been like building ever since David Beckham joined the MLS. You know, he kind of
Right.
changed
Yeah, he kind
the
of pioneered that.
and it was something good, you know. So
And you could say as well he's doing the same thing for Messi. You know, with what's going on right now with Inter Miami and bringing in all those former players from Barcelona. You have Jordi Alba, you have Sergio Busquets, you have Suarez. You know, you have
yeah,
these guys that Messi played with, and they're building their own team. And I mean, I guess you could bring it back to Pele as well. You know, where with the Cosmos, right, where like he came to the U.S. to like finish his career. You know, and you're seeing the MLS grow a lot, but you know, I feel like the system, the way the training is so much different in places like Europe because that's what all they have. You know, we have basketball, we have football, we have baseball. You know, so, but I would love to see more of what they do in places like Germany, where they start these kids young and they just train them as they grow up and give them the right tools and techniques and are just great people. I love German managers a lot, you know, especially Jurgen Klopp, who's you know he used to be the former manager for Liverpool, and just the
yeah,
way he kind of approached life and approached his players and the way he was so different from a Mourinho or a Guardiola um, or a Carlo Ancelotti, you know, where he really cared about the players and doing good for others and for the team first and foremost. And he wasn't all egocentric. He wasn't throwing anybody under the bus. He was class in every definition of the word. And you know, I love how Germany has that, you know, that sort of culture, you know, in some way.
yeah. They definitely changed the game, and it's definitely very fun to watch at the same
Yeah.
time. You know, so we're definitely growing and expanding as human beings, as brothers, as co-workers, as an entertainment company.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, you know, the movement really means a lot to me because I want my voice to be heard. I want us to be able to like have other people want to deal and network with us, and that's something that I think that Hollywood has been lacking in, where everyone
Yep.
was doing their own thing,
Yep.
and things haven't worked out since. And now like there's a bunch of studios joining other studios to make things happen because
Right.
most of the entertainment as far as movies and television goes has been like uh, mostly like Marvel movies and you
Yep.
know
Yep.
reality shows and things of that nature. And I feel like there's just like a big open market right now where we have like kind of stepped in, and we want to like create something big. And there's
Mhm.
like a big chance of being able to do that because not a lot of people are trying it
Yeah.
or they
Yeah.
have given up. So
I think the timing is perfect, right? I mean, I feel like when people are kind of just having their heads down, or they're assuming, there's not there's no way out of this, Hollywood is dead, this and that.
Yeah.
But there's a space, there's a space for us to find our way and to be a part of that community. And that's the goal for Sentiency 100%, is to have great stories, original content, and bring it back to, like, one big goal of mine is to get people back in the theaters. We're not seeing that enough. And if you bring out good content and good stories, people are going to want to go pay the money to watch them. People are not going to go pay to see, sorry about this, but like Snow White remade, the
Yeah.
third or fourth time, or just what Disney's been doing, which is remake after remake after remake. We get it. Like, how many Aladdins are we going to see, And
Yeah.
the Marvel movies and Star Wars kind of going down a little bit. I mean, no shade to Disney. It's just I feel like the way they're handling business could be a lot better. And I feel like all these major studios are panicking. They're in debt. They've wasted so much, and you know, I get the risk and reward outcome. The reward is great, and like the risk is pretty low. But to create something that's creative and of high value and that really impacts other people, you need to take higher risks. And the studios just don't want to do that. They're just afraid of doing that. And I think that's where we're not afraid to do that. We're ready to take those risks. We're ready to tell the stories that we want to tell. And that's super important. And
Absolutely.
I feel like we're super capable of doing it. I mean, we're all extremely high achievers. We don't quit, we don't give up, and we keep pushing forward.
That is an amazing mission statement with episode 1. Like, we're going to keep moving forward with this podcast. We learned a lot from this episode. Do we want to wrap it up from here, or do we want to push to the next episode, episode 2? We are still considering the schedule, guys. So whoever is listening to this now, just know you have tuned in to day 1,
Yes.
and you are in for a treat. We're going to be making more episodes soon.
Yep.
I think we can wrap it here. And for final statements, Josh Stein, Dino Barton.
I mean,
Yeah, sorry, Josh.
oh no! Again, it's just hard to read body language over Zoom and Riverside, unfortunately.
No
I'm
worries, man.
sorry, I do that sometimes. I know it's me forever trying to adjust to working virtually. But no, I mean, I think this went well. I mean, thank you for having me. I mean, I know we'll be back next week, I hope. Uh, yeah, I mean, at the very least, it's like a very nice opportunity to debrief about our week, and we can, I know moving forward, we're gonna like get more into the nitty gritty of like exactly how our projects are coming along and
Yeah.
like what we accomplish every week. So I'm looking forward to documenting that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Just be better, be great, never give up. Always try like to lift up others and lift up yourself and just stay confident. And
Yeah.
we're getting the ball rolling, and we're excited about this event on the 28th of June. If you guys want to leak into the reserve list, you guys can reserve. We'll put up the link if you guys want to be part of the Sentience Entertainment premiere party, guys. So yeah, we're definitely not the new kids in town. We're here to stay, and we're here to make things happen. So
Hell yeah.
let's go.
You can
Yeah.
follow us at the singles.tv. Barton, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just was gonna say, just stay calm through the chaos, stay persistent, stay focused on your mission, your goal, your purpose, and we're here for longevity. That's really important to us, and just we're all about doing the right thing and being the right people. So it's important, and read more. That's what I'll leave on.
Absolutely, reading does definitely help a lot. So yeah, I'll even
Read
take that
more,
in
learn more, have curiosity. Yeah,
100.
that's my
That's
two
a
cents.
wrap.
So that
That's a
wraps
wrap
up
on
for
episode
episode
1,
1.
y'all.
Hell yeah.
Hey.
Peace.
See you guys in episode 2. Tune in soon.